Video games just don't appear out of nowhere, do they? So how are they made? Being students at a computer college, I bet we've all played video games in our lives, and maybe some of us have even wondered how they're made. I'm a student in a game design major, so I'm going to lead you through the process of game design. Through pre-production, production, and launch, these are the stages to the development of a video game. The first step to developing a video game is pre-production. According to Ross Bramble of Game Maker in an article titled The Stages of Game Development, published on the 10th of May 2023, the first step of pre-production is planning. Your ideas will change, and the concept for your game may end up being very different than kind of your just original plan and your original ideas, and it'll change. The second major step is making a proof of concept, because this will help you determine just kind of the potential cost in time and money that it can take to build your game, because depending on how big your game is, how many ideas you have, and how big you want to make the game, it can take a short amount of time or a long amount of time. So it could take a couple months to even a couple years, and it could cost maybe just a couple $100 because you just are working by yourself and you do it in your own time, or it can cost thousands to potentially even millions of dollars, like some of the bigger games. And the final step of pre-production is kind of just starting to decide which ideas you want to develop fully and which ones you need to drop so that you can move forward in your game. Now it's time for the real work to start, the main production of the game. According to Game Ace Creative Studio, in an article titled 5 Key Game Development Stages, a look behind the scenes, from November 1st, 2023, game production starts with prototyping. And prototyping is pretty much a elevated version of your proof of concept, where you get closer to implementing your ideas that you have kept through your final step of pre-production and making those into the full versions of your ideas and your game mechanics, so that you can start making the game and getting it off the ground. Then comes the art, the sound, the level design, and your programming, which all come with their own intricacies that we don't have the time to talk about today, unfortunately. And finally, when your production is done, you need to perform quality assurance to test for bugs, any glitches that may appear through just kind of a basic run-through of playing the game. So you can hire play testers, or you can test it yourself, or show it to your friends. But just because the game is finished doesn't mean the development process is over. Now the game needs to be launched and updated if any new bugs are found by players when they get the game. According to the article Game Development Stages, How Are Video Games Created by Walla Walla Studios, published on October 27th, 2022, the launch is the event that can let game developers breathe a sigh of relief. But most of the team is probably still fixing newly detected bugs discovered by players. And from what I've seen in the game development world, the launch is probably the most important part of the process, because you only get to launch your game one time. You can't take it back, fix things, and launch it again. So you gotta make sure that you got it ready for launch, and that if anything happens after launch and there are bugs, that you're getting on them and you're fixing them so that your players have a good game to play. In closing, walking through the basics of what it takes to create a video game shows us through pre-production, where your ideas are born, to productions, where your ideas are built into the game, and to the release, where people finally get to play the game and just enjoy it. Showing the real work behind everyone's favorite video games.